Hello and welcome to the Spirituality in Action Monthly Interview. I'm Dee Meyer, and joining me is my co-host, Nanette Kennedy. Today you are in for a real treat. We have Carl Studna joining us. Carl is a world-renowned photographer, teacher, and author of Click, Choosing Love One Frame at a Time. Carl's intimate portraits of influential people ranging from Paul McCartney to His Holiness the Dalai Lama are published and known worldwide. Nanette and I are both weekend warriors of photography and cannot wait to speak with Carl.
That is not a truer thing could be said there. So we are looking forward to this. As we do with most of our phone calls that we do for Humanities Team, we always read the 5 Steps to Peace, and I am going to read that to you now. Peace will be attained when we as human beings permit ourselves to acknowledge that some of our old beliefs about God and about life are no longer working. Peace will be attained when we explore the possibility that there is something we do not understand about God and about life, the understanding of which could change everything. Peace will be attained when we announce that we are willing for new understandings of God and life to now be brought forth, understandings that could produce a new way of life on this planet. Peace will be attained when we courageously examine these new understandings and, if they align with our personal inner truth and knowing, enlarge our belief system to include them. Peace will be attained when we express our lives as a demonstration of our highest beliefs rather than as a denial of them. And the 5 Steps to Peace is an excerpt from Neale Donald Walsch's book, The New Revelations, A Conversation with God, and most of you probably already know Neale is the founder of Humanities Team, and Spirituality in Action is part of Humanities Team. Before we actually get the interview started, we want to thank all of our donors and our volunteers for your support of Spirituality in Action, because without your donations, we would not be able to do our work in helping to awaken the world to oneness. If you missed last month's really amazing meditation with Simon Rowe and Sean Gardner, 2 Friends of Humanities Team in the United Kingdom, you can find the link to listen to that recording on our Spirituality in Action Facebook page, and we'll include the link in an email that we send out for today's interview. And we'd also like to remind you that we have a Spirituality in Action Global Conference call on January 30th at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and we will update you on Humanities Team programs and volunteer opportunities, and we will also include that information in this email as well. And finally, we are in the middle of an Indiegogo fundraising campaign to raise funds for Global Oneness Day, our upcoming Global Council meeting this July in South Africa, and all of our educational outreach programs. Our goal is $6,000, and I'm happy to report that we're over halfway there with just 2 weeks left to go. These details will also be in the email that we'll be sending out. Dee?
Now I'd like to introduce you to our friend Carl Studna. Carl is a world-renowned photographer, multiple award-winning author, and inspirational speaker. Carl's intimate portraits of influential people ranging from Sir Paul McCartney to His Holiness the Dalai Lama are published and known worldwide. Spanning over 2 decades of his photography career, Carl has been assigned all over the world to shoot for CD and album covers, book covers, and for various publicity platforms. His work has been published in periodicals from the Rolling Stone to Time magazine. Carl's first book, Click, Choosing Love One Frame at a Time, uses the familiar example of having our picture taken as the ultimate barometer of where our attention is being placed in every second of the click. Carl received his Bachelor of Arts degree in Expressive Arts from Sonoma State University and his Master's degree in Spiritual Psychology from the University of Santa Monica, and is a member of the Transformational Leadership Council. Carl envisions seeing his work and new book, Click, reach as many people as possible, inspiring them to rest in the pure awareness of light's illuminated path, both in front of the camera and behind it, but mostly in their individual lives. Please welcome Carl Studna.
Oh, thank you, Dee and Annette. It's such a pleasure to be with both of you today.
Well, we are so excited to have you with us, Carl. Could you share with us about the connection that oneness has with photography?
No, sure, I'd be happy to. Well, I've been doing photography since I was 15, and I think even when I began this craft, without knowing it, without being aware of it, one of the really integral things that I was drawn to was being able to see into each frame, into each moment. And then as I grew in the craft and in my career and started specializing in portraits with people, I realized more and more as I'd be with people how most people are not comfortable in front of a camera. In fact, most people are nervous or self-conscious. So I began to find organic ways of being with people, sometimes through the breath, sometimes through affirmations, but really about cultivating a greater sense of peace and trust so that the person behind the camera, or rather in front of the camera, could really start to let go and unwind. And I started to recognize that self-consciousness, what we call self-consciousness, which is what most people feel, is really a form of not feeling trusting in the moment and feeling separate from the circumstance, or separate from the environment in where they are in that moment. So really what I found that I was doing in being with people and cultivating this love and this trust and this honoring was reminding them of their interconnectedness with everything, and which is really about oneness, and recognizing that at their core, that they're whole and they're perfect, and that this situation in this moment is perfect. And really, I think when we go deeper into that, we're really talking about the interconnectedness of us all being at one with each other and honoring each other.
I was going to just mention, because I think it's kind of important, we do know Carl, and we've worked with Carl and had our pictures taken, and I will say you do have a gift in being able to make people feel comfortable, because I know I get nervous when somebody's in my face with a camera, and it's for all those reasons that you just mentioned. But both Dee and I have had the honor of having you take our pictures, and I'm sure Dee would agree that you put us at ease.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, and I think that any time that somebody is taking a photograph of someone, it presents the opportunity, really, it presents the opportunity to be with that person, whether it's formal or informal, conscious or unconscious, to really be with that person in a self-honoring way, honoring the individual that's there, honoring who they are, their light, their unique gifts, their presence, and whether that's through words or just your way of being and showing up with that person. It's such a beautiful opportunity to be present in that way, and when we allow ourselves to really give that level of outpouring of love and care and reflecting back somebody's brilliance and their uniqueness and their gifts and that they're perfect. Oh God, you watch the person in front of the camera just melt into this place of it's like the breath. You can breathe again, and you just witness them feeling safe. And isn't that what everybody really wants to experience and feel?
Absolutely. And I know that when you go out and you're doing your photography, not everybody's going to understand that message of oneness. But how do you covertly incorporate that message of oneness with the art of your portrait photography?
Well, I have certain tools and techniques that I've sort of grown into over the years, and sometimes it might be with the breath. Sometimes it might just ask someone to, and I might emulate it. I might just go, because people really respond. Some people really respond to, how how we are in front of a camera. So, or I might remind people to breathe. I'm constantly encouraging people by asking them to say yes in an enthusiastic way. I found that the word yes, and when somebody says it in an enthusiastic way, it just triggers this energy of openness, of allowance, and it allows a greater possibility of the truth to come in, to release the old unconscious blocks, that might be present and that keep people bound in any kind of tenseness or self-consciousness. So those are a couple of immediate things that I do. And sometimes if people are open to it, I wouldn't do this in a corporate setting likely, but if people already are on a more conscious path and I'm having conversations with them before a session, I might have a talk with them and ask them to write down a list of qualities that they really see that they wish to really embody and to express in this photo session. What are these? What do you stand for? What is your message? How would you describe those as far as qualities go? And then when they're with me, and again, these are for people that are used to doing this sort of opening work, then we can address these qualities and I might talk about them while I'm shooting and say, now just imagine you're resting in the love. Imagine you're resting in the depth of compassion that is the core of your nature. So it all depends on the individual and the circumstance. If it's a more corporate environment or a more conservative environment, then it would have to do more with just the way that I show up and the way that I emanate trust and presence and oneness, because we know that oneness really is the core of oneness is love, is exuding the truth of love from moment to moment to moment to moment, and that's the brilliant opportunity that I have when being with people in this unique medium, because every moment, which we'll talk about with my book, every moment is that opportunity to choose love.
Beautiful. One of my daily meditations is to see through love's eyes, and I find that your work is that. You are that. So it's just beautiful. Carl, you coined the phrase, rather than trying to fit in, be the fit. What does that mean? Well,
that came to me when I was doing a talk on authenticity in the workplace, and I was telling a story about when I was meeting in London years ago with Paul McCartney's manager, and I walked in the door of this manager's office, Richard Ogden, and he was a very kind, caring man, and I sat down on a sofa, and both of us were just organically open and coming from a place of just wanting to get to know each other. I didn't feel like I had an agenda. Obviously, I would love to be able to work with Sir Paul, but in that moment, my presence, my focus was on just being present with this person, getting to know each other, and share who I am, and get to know him, get to know what he's about. And in the course of that meeting, we had a wonderful time, and it was just that. We were just talking about each other, our values. I'm sharing with him my portfolio of work, but it was really about showing up and being real, being authentic. And when I say being the fit, I mean that I was honoring the organic fit that was just present there, the invitation to be myself, the invitation to be myself. And in accepting the invitation to be myself, I got to show up and just truly be authentically who I am. And it was clear that he was very receptive to that, and he was very receptive to my photography. And in that meeting, he got on the phone immediately and called McCartney's press agent, his publicity agent, told him that he should meet me. I immediately went over to meet this other fellow, Robbie Montgomery. It was the same dynamic there. And within a couple months, I get a call, and I do this wonderful shoot with Sir Paul. So that was a really beautiful reminder to me, if ever I need a reminder, that if I had gone into these meetings trying to be the fit, trying to be what I imagined would be what they would want to hear or what they would like, then it wouldn't have worked because I would have been trying, I would have been putting effort into it. And we know that any time that we're efforting, that's not it. That's not the mark. The mark is showing up, and since we're talking about oneness here, I can put it in the context of oneness, really allowing myself to be true and authentic to who I am, what my values are, and to explore if this is a fit. And if it's a fit, then there's nothing that needs to try and fit. I am one with these people. I'm one with them, meaning I share the same values, I share the same similar message, the same goals, the same levels of how we might work together, so that the trust can be immediately cultivated. And because they felt that, and because they felt like I could be a trustworthy person, then I show up for the shoot with Paul at Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, while Paul was shooting a off-the-ground video. And what was so tangible to me is everyone I saw, all of the crew that I saw in this room at ILM were just that, were just what I'm describing. They were the fit. They were masters at what they did. They didn't have ego. Everyone was harmonious, and I was a part of that fit. And it just filled my heart with such joy and gratitude to recognize that I was saying yes to this fit, to this oneness of values that was present there.
Wow, I can't even imagine that experience for you, and being in that fit place. And I can see myself using your phrase when I'm getting ready to go speak to someone that I might otherwise be a little bit nervous or wondering what it is they want from me, is to just be me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, so. because we all of us know this. I mean, we all know that when it's right, there's no efforting, and we don't want to be involved in anything that's not right. So so it's a greater surrender to accepting what is. And if this is a fit, great, awesome. Then let's celebrate and let's collaborate. And if it's not a fit, because there have been times that it hasn't been, then great, perfect. Then let's go our own separate ways and honor that it's not a fit, and trust that the right fits are present for what's cohesive.
Right. We're not all on the same path, and it's okay to not be the fit.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
yeah.
And that's very liberating.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here, but because we are talking about photography, and I mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about when Dee and I were with you and you were taking our photos. Our society is obviously very obsessed with physical appearance. Can you explain how photography goes beyond the superficial to capture people's true essence?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll start with just a little bit of background, because when I was building my career and I was looking at, well, where do I want to put my focus, my niche, and talk about the fit, God, I kept trying different things and recognizing, oh, that's not a fit, so I'd try fashion as an example and go, well, that certainly isn't a fit, because most fashion is about putting on an image, a false image, a glamour image, rather than perhaps what's authentic. And it has its place, for in a particular way, but it definitely was not a fit for me. And just looking at advertising in general, and looking at fashion, and looking at the whole glamour scene, I started recognizing that I don't do glamour, or if I do glamour, it's a redefined glamour. It's not the traditional glamour, because most glamour is about removing yourself from the ordinary or from being genuine. You don't associate genuine with glamour. Glamour is sort of like it's putting on this larger than life image and untouchable. And where I was drawn to was really reflecting back people's authentic nature, who they really are. And so bringing that into your question, into the area of true, genuine beauty, I have a chapter in my book, Click, that's all about that, about honoring the authentic beauty in us, and what does that mean, and what does that look like, and dispelling the old conditioned myth that we're birthed into. I mean, we're birthed into this culture where advertising is there immediately. I mean, especially if you watch television or, go to movies or, have any view on the outside world. There's all these messages that are always telling us that beauty looks a certain way. And I really believe and stand for what I think is the truth, that there's a organic, authentic, natural beauty that resides in all of us. And I've done some pictures of people. I did some interviews recently one was with a newscaster in Chicago, and who was interviewing me, and I did before and after shots of her, before makeup and after. And I did it twice, actually, one with someone on Gaiam as well. And I was emphasizing, my message I was emphasizing was that they're both beautiful. The one that's after makeup is more of a traditional, made-up, more glamour-oriented beauty, and that's beautiful in its own brand, in its own way. And the before shot was equally as beautiful because I worked with these women and got them to let go and open and reveal their light, their inner beauty, and their light and their presence. And I'm a strong believer that whenever whether it's in front of a camera or not, or with other people, whenever we allow ourselves to let go and to open and to trust and to breathe and to affirm the light and the wisdom and the wholeness and the oneness that is at the core of our nature, the core of our being, when we just let go into that presence, there's an opening that happens. Our eyes open. You hear the expression, the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, when we're open and in this way, you can see into our essence, into our souls. Our mouths relax, our facial muscles relax, and we're beautiful. We shine, we glow. The most brilliant examples of that have been when I've been to developing countries, and like Bhutan, where the people, for the most part there, have not been indoctrinated with all of this Western culture ideas of how you need to look to be pretty or to look beautiful. And I'd ask them to be in front of a camera, and they would just show up one after the next and be absolutely stunningly beautiful because they're just in that place of openness and receptivity and oneness. And so I really assess that we're all stunningly beautiful when we're open, when we're in that place of allowance, when we're in that place of receptivity and allowing our true beauty shine and to come forth naturally and emanate through us.
Beautiful. One of the things that I find fascinating is selfies. Everyone has a cell phone now and is taking pictures of themselves. And I think we're learning to see ourselves differently. Let's talk about selfies. What's your take on them? Would you give the listeners, especially teens and parents, some ideas on how to take and post selfies coming from a place of self-love?
I would love to. I'm very passionate about this topic. So, yes, let's just look for a moment at statistics. We've got now, I just looked this up in the last couple of months, we currently have roughly about 8 million teenagers in the United States that own smartphones, and it's growing exponentially every year. And I'm just addressing teens in this moment, just to pick a certain category group, and so that means that 8 million teenagers, most of which are not monitored, have these devices that have a camera in them where they can take pictures of themselves, take pictures of other people, text, whatever, 24 hours a day. That's an interesting thought right there, because unless there's a level of consciousness, as we know, attached to anything, all kinds, these devices might not be used in the most supportive and forwarding ways. So that's a whole area that I'm very, very hot about talking about. But I'll backtrack for a second. So just in the last few years, you're witnessing, just as a culture, not just in the U.S., but all over the world, obviously, cell phones and now smartphones, the rate is just growing tremendously. And so you're getting all of these people now that have cameras in their phones. And as you're saying, Dee, you just look around. If you start to put your attention on when you're in public, you'll start seeing and recognizing all these people that are doing selfies, taking self-portraits of themselves or with a girlfriend or a group of people. And this is very new. It's extremely new. And I feel passionate about bringing consciousness to that choice moment because we've been talking about what it's like to have your picture taken. But now you've got all of these people, and especially young people, that the majority of selfies are with younger people, who are taking pictures of themselves. And to be quite honest, I don't really see that so far. I don't see that this is necessarily a conscious thing. I don't think it's bringing a greater sense of consciousness to how to the thought before the click is taken, with the picture. I think quite often with young people, especially, there's either a conditioned response, like a conditioned smile, like a glamour smile, or a silly, being silly. Occasionally, you might see somebody that really stops and is able to just be very present and real, but I don't see it very often. And then, and then the alarming one is how many pictures are going out that could be seductive or presenting a message out there to millions and millions of people that could receive it, that could be dangerous for the individual and affect them on many different levels in the future. So I feel very passionate about the message of having us think before the picture is taken, give some consciousness to it, and really think about what is the look, what is the feeling, what message do I want to convey with this picture. I've got some dear friends who are two of the most conscious parents that I know, and I asked their 16-year-old daughter, what do you think? What's going through your mind when you take a selfie? And her response was very telling, and she said, I don't think. I just take it. It's impulsive. So that's a very it's a very telling answer, because I think that there's a lot of impulsiveness still with shooting selfies. It's like whatever thought, whatever feeling is present in the moment. Well, sometimes, as we know, impulsiveness can be spontaneous, it can be fun, it can be cute. Sometimes people can regret it because it could be putting out a message that's really, in the long run, not supportive. So the message and the encouragement that I give, I really feel like, especially teenagers and preteens, are strongly in need, whether they might not know it. They're in need of positive role models, okay? Because so many of the role models that they have, I don't believe are conscious and giving messages that are really going to be constructive and bring consciousness to their lives. Unfortunately, so many huge amount of role models these days for young people are pop stars, and like one of the most current out of the box examples of a role model that certainly is not a positive one would be Miley Cyrus. So you look at someone like her, and she's way over the top, but she's an example of how many young people, especially young girls, that she affects. So we as adults have the opportunity to sit down with the young people in our lives, and rather than point a finger and say, well, here's you need to watch this, or be aware of this. Of course they need to know all that, but the real opportunity, just like in the movie Avatar, is to be with the young people in our lives and serve as mentors in having conversations with them, conscious conversations on acknowledging who you see that they really are. I see you. I see that you are so gifted in this way. That this is how I see that you're unique, and your gifts are so strong in these areas. And have a conversation, an inquiry. What do you see are your gifts, and the things that are unique about yourself, and what make you, stand out, and really, what are the things that you have to offer to the world? What do you love to do? And this is an invitation that is so ripe right now, and I think so needed in our culture, because young people especially are just so in need of that kind of validation, and to hear and to be reminded of their goodness and their uniqueness and their value. So I know this is a very long answer to your question, but it all has to do, to me, it ties in with selfies, and because at the core of so many selfies these days, at the core of it, I see, is that people want that instant recognition of being seen and being valued. Just like on Facebook, how many friends you have, how many likes that you have. It's that instant validation that especially young people are growing up into this now. So we've got to bring that level of greater consciousness in, so that whether it's with a selfie or with sending a text or whatever, that they just are able to pause and have that greater sense of reflection and making a wiser choice and bringing consciousness into into how they see themselves and what they project out into the world.
Wow. I think a book could be written on what you were just talking about.
Yeah, well, from from my years to your, what's that expression? I can't remember what it is. Either of you know that one. Anyway, yes, that's something that's in the work. That's in the development stages right now. So you were tapping in.
Yes, because I have a bunch of teenage nieces, and I can tell you that every single one of them has done one of the ones that I think are projecting the wrong messages. But it's this little bit you've just given me here makes me feel like I could talk to them just a little bit, especially that part about pausing
yes.
and
yes.
thinking.
Yeah.
Because once it's out there, it's out there.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And I equate it with fast food. This is something that came to me a couple months ago. I thought, yeah, it's really similar to fast food. Where there's all these fast food restaurants now, and you go into one, and they're so popular because it's easy, and you get it quickly, and you don't have to do much. But the truth is that it doesn't nourish you. So you think you're being fed, but you're not being nourished. And I equate that to the same thing with what we're talking about, because we're looking for that quick fix of validation, of being liked, of being validated, and it's a fast food mentality, and we've got to slow down, and we've got to take the pause. Otherwise, it just leads to more. It becomes an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes an addiction. And I think we are a culture that's becoming addicted to having that fast food validation in these ways through, and I love Facebook, but that's an aspect of it that unless you're conscious, you just get reeled into that. Oh man, how many likes did I get on that? And check it 5 minutes later. Oh, only 4. Oh, but it's so good. So anyway, I could talk forever about that.
Well, no, I think that's a very good point. And anyway, I think that was very interesting and something I hadn't thought about. And we've been talking, excuse me, we've been talking about your book off and on, just little snippets here, but tell us about your book, Click, and the essential moment and how that act of choice integrates itself into this area.
Okay. So 4 or 5 years ago, I just started writing, and it really felt like it was writing me, and the emphasis of the writing was really about the learnings I've had over the years. I've been doing this professionally for 34 years now, and as a love since I was 15, so most of my life. And all these learnings just started coming out, but the centerpiece, the core, the crux of this message that I started writing about was the significance that I find through this unique medium of taking photographs, not just of people, but photographs in general, because still photography, as we know, it documents each moment, and every moment's different. Whether it's with a person, whether it's with a landscape, clouds are always changing. So everything is always shifting and changing in every single moment. So I started putting more attention on, well, how does that really relate to taking pictures of other people? And we've been addressing this, through this talk already. But since everything is always changing, nothing's the same from moment to moment, I started recognizing the best example is when I do a photo session and I'm looking at every frame, all right? And this is very telling because I'll look at one frame and the person can look tense. They can look self-conscious. Whatever you want to call it, they can look like you see fear in them, that you see their muscles contracted, their eyes kind of glazed out. And the very next frame, there's a transformation. There's a shift that's happened, meaning that you see the let go, and you see them open to the trust, to feeling safe, to being present, to their eyes open and engaged, to who they are, who they really are coming through. So literally from one frame to the next, you can see that. So why? Why does that shift take place from one frame to the next? Well, that's largely what this book's about, and it talks about just what we're addressing here, that shift in consciousness, because we know that when we change our thoughts, everything shifts, everything changes. So when the thought changes from fear or separation or what we call self-consciousness, constriction, to allowing the love in, allowing the breath to happen, allowing the truth of who I really am to come through, then that's when we see the openness and the true essence of the person coming through. And that's what speaks to the viewer, because when, as a viewer, when we see a photograph of somebody that is really present and really awake and alive, it's like you're going into the soul of that person. You're going, and you can actually feel whether you know them, whether you know what they're about, whether you know what they do in their lives. You can feel who they are, because that's the power of this medium, the visual medium, in this way. In video, you can see it in a stream, obviously, a stream of images, because that's what video and film is. You see it in a stream of images. But in video, you might not catch those moments when there is the tightness or the self-consciousness, because it's a stream. In still moments, you see it if you're willing to look. So, as the person that's having a picture taken, I always encourage people, this is a great exercise for you if you wish to go this direction, is to look at all these pictures. And I always say to people, the pictures that you want to tear up or delete are exactly the ones that can be the greatest teacher for you. They can be the greatest examples of looking at this picture. What is it about this shot you don't like? Well, I don't like how my mouth looks, or my nose looks too big here, or I look tight, my eyes look glazed, or whatever it is. And then there's the opportunity to go even deeper into that and look at it even deeper and go, all right, so what thoughts and feelings were present when this frame, when this frame was taken? And if you can start to track that, then you can use these pictures really as an instant feedback as to where your consciousness was from moment to moment to moment, and whether or not you were being present, whether or not you were feeling safe and feeling the interconnectedness with you and the world and the universe, which we call oneness, or whether you were feeling separate and closed off and fearful. So in that way, this medium can be, and having your picture taken can be, an amazing tool and barometer for self-growth and for learning in this way.
Wow. Where can people purchase Click?
Well, they can purchase it. The quickest way is just to go to Amazon and type in my name, Carl Studna, and click, and it'll come up on Amazon. And if you want to read more about it and see more about it, you can go to my website, which is carlstudna.com, CarlStudna.com, and there's a click for clicking on the page for Click, a lot of clicks, and it tells all about it there, and it also has a much wider array of my photographs and different things that I'm involved in.
Oh, everyone needs to go do that after we're done with our call. Do you have any other upcoming events, Carl?
Well, yeah. We've got something exciting. My amazing, talented wife, Cynthia James, and myself are going to be doing, for the first time, doing something together. In June, we're having a teleseries. We're going to be hosting one. And the subject of the teleseries is going to be about healing the conditioned division between the masculine and the feminine in our culture. And we're really excited about hosting that. We're bringing in a whole variety of wisdom teachers that are just going to provide their unique insights. And we so look forward to this. And that will be posted on my site, and it will also be posted on Cynthia's site as well. And so people can find out exactly the dates of that, but it will be, we're looking at mid-June for that to be a four-evening teleseries. And then both Cynthia and I are going to be doing inward journey pilgrimage to Peru in November, and that's also posted on my site and Cynthia's site. And I'll be joining Cynthia for another inward journey in Chartres, France in mid-September as well. This will be the fourth time we've done one of those in Chartres, and it's phenomenal experience of walking the labyrinth and getting anchored in your unique journey and where you want to put your attention. And they actually closed the Chartres Cathedral one evening for us to do a private walk with hundreds of candles, and it's such a sacred, amazing experience there as well. So if Machu Picchu or the labyrinth in Chartres call you, we'd love to have you join us, and you can find that on both our sites.
That sounds really exciting. Can you give us one great tip that we can do to empower our full expression behind the camera?
Behind or in front? So you mean taking the picture?
Yeah.
Okay, taking the picture, absolutely. One great tip. Okay, yes. Showing up and walking into the space where this person is with you, as if you're walking into the holiest of temples, and as if you are greeting the most treasured, most beautiful, revered avatar teacher, and being with them in a way where you just feel the absolute essence and light and truth and wisdom and wholeness and grace of that person, and you are just feeling so filled in that honoring of that individual throughout the time that you're with them.
Wow.
Okay.
That's good. Well, let's turn the camera around. How about when you're in front of the camera?
And when you're in front of the camera, allowing that experience to be a time where you are giving to yourself this moment of honoring, where just like if you go to a spa or if you do anything else for yourself, that is a time of really giving to yourself, of nurturing yourself, allowing it to be that time where you show up and use that time as a time of rich self-reflection, of like, here is this device that we call a camera, and it's being pointed at me, but it's really a tool for revealing and expressing my gifts and my light and the uniqueness that I am here to give like nobody else can give. And here's the opportunity in every moment of the click to just fully allow myself to let go, open, and be myself and let myself fully shine.
Oh, this time has gone so quickly, and it has been such a pleasure having you with us today, Carl. We're really grateful.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Annette.
Would you give your website again so that people can find you?
Sure. It is www.carl, Studna.com.
Thanks again. So please join us for our Spirituality and Action Call January 30th at 9:30. We'll update you on the Humanities Team programs and volunteer opportunities during the call, and we'll email you a registration link for the call. So thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your day.